there is invariable degrees of retainment of heritages and cultures, and how these provide support networks on the ground. Now, with regards to the politicisation of young people, and specifically young Pakistanis, there is also, obviously, naturally, an increase in education and attainment. There's many more professional positions, lots of lawyers. From what I understand, two of the leading lawyers on issues related to terror-related arrests are Pakistanis and Muslims. In fact, they are Kashmiri in heritage. So there are all these kind of dynamics. And the impact on community cohesion in that respect, often we gauge the level of establishment and the level of sophistication in terms of lobbying, firstly local authorities and then national government. And in that respect, the impact is likely to increase. The resentment is growing. We see as a victory the recent report on Prevent and the revelations that, yes, for many, it was seen as an intelligence gathering exercise. We had local authority officers asking us how many people pray in a particular mosque. That somehow this gives them some kind of insight into what kind of things are being said in that mosque. And so, you know, this then extended more recently to, in certain areas, looking at Sikh communities and how different gurdwaras are organised and who they represent and the political perspectives. So the old adage of, you know, it starts with one community and then the focus will move depending on the international circumstances. So there's an earlier point about we must all stand united, irrespective of race, creed, colour, whatever, against these abuses of human rights. And, you know, of course, in relative terms, the allegations of torture are far more serious. I mean, we can only can't even imagine the kind of impact this has on somebody's family, themselves. I mean, there have been some serious cases that have been investigated. But really, that's kind of like an overview of what we found. We are finding new things every day. Recently, we were accused, the Institute of Community Cohesion, that champions this deeper understanding. We were accused of intelligence gathering. There's a serious kind of like paranoia that has engulfed our communities. And this can only be bad. It can only cause further resentment. And your example about, you know, the only way to the only peaceful way of tackling this is to make people aware. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Baksh. I'd like to move on now to the very renowned Mr. Mohammed Sarwar MP. Just before I give you the floor, I know Lord Ahmed would join me in congratulating and thanking Mr. Sarwar MP. He's due to retire at the next general election. He was one of the first Muslim and Pakistani MPs to enter their House of Commons, and he definitely opened up the space for others to follow him. And we'd just like to show our gratitude to him. So I hope you'll all join in a round of applause.
Thank you, Salma, and I want to take this opportunity to thank Lord Ahmed. And since he became the Lord, I think he has done a fantastic job for all the international causes, and I believe that he has been the champion of the Muslims in this country, and he has worked tirelessly to build the bridges within the communities in this country. It's a very important subject, and probably as an MP, this will be my last contribution, since I believe next week I will be just former MP. This is a huge subject, and people have spoken on this issue hundreds of times. And I think we need to know a bit about the history, why we are in this mess, why we are in this trouble. I was born and brought up in Pakistan. Pakistan was a very moderate nation, very liberal nation, We never heard about these weapons, these Kalashnikovs, these bombs in madrasas and schools on the streets of Pakistan. We're all very loving people, and I know the women from this country, from America, from Europe, they traveled freely to Pakistan, and in fact they went to even Afghanistan, and they were very safe there. There was not a question of about their security or about their safe return. What happened was that Russia unfortunately invaded Afghanistan in the early 80s, and the war, which was a war, in my view, between America and Russia, they made it a religious war between Islam and communism. And the West, including my this beloved country, Britain, we recruited extremists from all over the world. We trained people within the madrasas and trained them to fight against Russians. I mean, Russians were defeated, fine. And I believe that time the West failed to discharge their duties. As soon as their objectives were achieved, they defeated Russia, Russia withdrew their army, then the West just abandoned those people. And all those people, these Talibans and others who were fighting against Russia, they started fighting on themselves. And Pakistan unfortunately became the victim of this long, prolonged war. Pakistan was left with 4 million refugees. You can imagine we have here a few 100,000, and there's a big problem that's a heavy burden on our services, on our health, on our education system. You can imagine having 4 million refugees in a third world country. So I believe that Pakistan has made great sacrifices in this fight against terrorism. And unfortunately, during all this time, whenever the Western government, they asked the Pakistani government to do more. And unfortunately, they are not even willing to listen to their views. I mean, I know the successive governments in Pakistan have made it clear to the United States of America and Britain that these drone attacks in their country are counterproductive. Pakistan is fighting a war against terrorism, but as soon as some drone attacks comes to Pakistan and kill innocent people, 40 people, 50 people, and that creates anger against the Pakistan government and against the West. And unfortunately, United States of America has refused to accept the request of the Pakistan government that stop these drone attacks. And one thing I genuinely and passionately believe, that if we want to defeat terrorism, we can only defeat terrorism with the support of the Muslim community. If we want to tackle the terrorism even in this country, Britain, we need the support of the Muslim community in this country. And if we want to defeat terrorism in Pakistan and in Afghanistan, we need the support of the Afghan community and we need the support of the Pakistani community. And I'm glad that the Pakistani government, elected government, has taken a decisive action in Suaad and other places to fight against these extremists and fascists who don't have respect for anybody. And unfortunately, they are using the good name of Islam to promote their objectives. And they are destroying the Muslim girls' schools. They are now even targeting the GHQ headquarters, and they are killing innocent people in Lahore and Faisalabad and everywhere else. So I believe Pakistan is paying a very heavy price. And Pakistan needs a lot of help. Pakistan is going through a very difficult and challenging time. And believe you me, if we didn't support Pakistan in this fight against terrorism, then we will all in the West will pay the heavy price. Pakistan needs the full support from the international community to improve their economy, to create jobs there. Because economically, you can imagine if the bombs are being blasted every second day, what impact it has on the investors who want to invest in Pakistan. And that's why I believe that the British government and European government should do their utmost to help economically to Pakistan so they can continue this war against terrorism. Finally, I want to say that we need to have the policy of stick and carrot. In our own country, we have experienced that we try to deal with IRA and others with force, but eventually when we reached to a solution, it was through negotiation and through dialogue. So in my view, that if there are some moderate Talibans or moderate people in Afghanistan or in Pakistan, then we should have the courage to negotiate with these people, so we can bring a final peaceful resolution to all these problems in Pakistan and in Afghanistan. You know that whenever these terrorists attack the targets, they don't care whether the people who are going to be killed are Muslims or Jews or Hindus or Sikhs. So I believe that these terrorists have no religion. They just want to kill people, and they should be condemned. That's why I believe that terrorism must be condemned in any shape, any form, anywhere in the world.